the universe shifted to make it happen.
I am the one creating my own limitations.
So you started thinking thoughts that align with your
Desired outcome, exactly. If not now, then when?
There's never a perfect time.
Because your mind will always find the reason why it's not the right time. I loved it because the universe was bending space and time around my desire.
Family is really bad with time, like myself, like we do everything last minute. And that stuff.
My dad is like, I still made it. It seemed impossible. And I made it. How, what did I do within me that I made it happen?
That also reminded me of the situation, how we came with the idea of this podcast. Hi everyone, this is me, Lily Boiko.
And Mira Uniat.
And our eternally fantastic podcast. Before we get to today's topic, we'd like to invite you to follow us on other social platforms such as Instagram, Telegram, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, and something else. Well, we have our pages on all social platforms, so you're welcome there. And today we want to talk about freedom. What does it mean to have true freedom, freedom of your limiting beliefs, and how do you get there? What should happen in life when you begin analyzing what limits you have, that you live in this box with your perception of the world, like very small one, when you can get out of this box and see all the opportunities that you have and everything that you can accomplish in life becomes so much bigger when you go out of this limits that you actually made yourself in your head. And for example, Mira is today actually going on her self-exploration trip to travel the world, to see places of different religions, and then to go to a monastery to spend 21 days there. And for so many people, when she shares that, it's like a thing that is very inspiring for those who understand it, but most of people dream of being able to let go everything, just to leave where they are and go explore the world, but so few people actually do that. Especially in your age, like we're 35, right? Maybe people get there when they are retired and not that energetic and lively. And how did you get there? And how can people actually not be afraid to do what they want and not do what they don't want, and to live life, real life, to explore it and to make their dreams come true? I'm not talking here about financial, material stuff, but to have these emotions and broaden the horizons and just go on a trip where they want to go, or move where they want to move. What's keeping people from doing that, and how to demolish that and do what you want to do?
Yeah, it's a very good question. All questions are amazing, the ones that you ask for this podcast, and that's why this podcast is eternally fantastic. But I think first and foremost, we all have to ask the question, what is freedom? Because if you ask your friends and talk about this stuff with them, about freedom, they will say, I am free. I love my life. And then next day you hear them being angry, or you hear them being upset, or you hear them complaining, then it means they are not free.
Just because people are afraid to like tell themselves that they are actually not free, and they persuade themselves that they are.
Yeah, and I'm not here to take away people's happiness, right? all I'm saying is that all these limitations, they are self-imposed. They are self-imposed limitations. When we are born and we come into this physical body, by essence, we are free. Now, just remember how you shaped your son into who he is today. Don't do that, don't go there, this is dangerous, this is not good, you should do this. And until the age of 7, children are in hypnosis state. They are on record. So that's where the first limitations are being created for them. And then the question is, do we keep living life with that foundation that we unconsciously created when we were 7? Because at that time we don't have analytical mind who would say this is true, this is not, this is good, this is bad. Everything that comes that way is real for us. And majority of people, actually 99% of people, they don't really shed the skin. They stay living in that unconscious program until the last days, all those fears that parents imposed on them, all those limitations, why this is not possible, why you shouldn't do that. It just may be a different story, but state of being is the same. So basically people are reliving their past in the present moment, because now there is that critic in their head, or the voice in their head, why they should not do it. And they see people around, everybody is turning in that wheel, everybody is doing the same thing, and for them it's not normal. It's normal. It becomes like, whoa, there is no other way. And then once in a while you can meet weirdos like me who've done some inner work and who face their own fears and their own pain and reprogram that subconscious mind, and they dive so deep within themselves where they realize, I am the one creating my own limitations. How is it to live a limitless life? How would it feel?
Amazing.
Yes. It's a journey though to get there, because to get there it means to learn to detach. And love actually is a frequency that makes us being attached to family, to lifestyle, to friends, to society. It's a powerful frequency where it unites and connects people, but it's also a frequency that wires our brain in the direction of attachment. And those who are committed to actually just learning human mechanism, people like me, I'm here to explore everything, what it means to be human, and I'm here to reach my fullest potential. That's my commitment to myself. And then how would a truly free person behave and act in their life? I faced that question about 3 weeks ago. I quit my job. It was a very good job, by the way. And there was time in my life where I really loved it. It was before my awakening. And I was really successful at what I did. I was closing a lot of deals, making good money. And then my awakening happened. And I realized that, I actually didn't feel like coming back into corporate world. I wanted to be free from matrix, so to say, and what's considered to be normal. I mean, majority of people, it's normal to go to do corporate job and make money that way, because they don't imagine money coming through the avenues other than job. Or if they are doing something that they are truly in love with, they don't believe it has monetizing capacity. So I experienced my awakening. I realized that I'm creating this box, I'm creating these limitations. And then the next step from my mind was to create that logic around why I should going back to my job. So my mind created a limitation. Yes, it was a little bit expanded. I realized it was temporary. So my mind created an explanation that, Mira, you go back to corporate world. You are a different version of yourself right now. So you will go there, you will shine, you will start closing a lot of deals and showing that this energy that you are meeting is actually magnetic, and it creates a reality. You can close deals effortlessly working. And then plus at that time, the man that I was hoping we would be together, the man who had impact on my awakening, I thought if I completely exit the matrix, he would completely lose interest in me. And I really wanted to be with him. So it was my attachment still. So it took me 3 years to remove the attachment to the illusion that I can only be with that man. That was illusion number one. Illusion number two was that actually I was thinking that money should come through this avenue only, through me closing deals and working in sales.
And then what you do, like this spiritual stuff, is just...
It would be just my hobby kind of thing. So it was still division, separation, right? Two worlds. There is a world where I make money, and I come into that world charged and fall in love, like full of love and love for life. And with that energy, of course, clients would love me. They would want to work with me, and they would sign deals. And I've been doing that for 3 years, almost 3 years. Actually, yes, 3 years since 2021, because I returned from my disability leave in 2021, and now it's 2024. So it's almost 3 years that I was hoping that this new version of me would be manifesting, closing a big amount of deals, and create that interest in a corporate world from people, where people would be asking me, what are you doing that you are so successful in closing deals? And I would say, well, I just meditate, come meditate with me. And that's how I would spark the interest in people to do inner work. And I was waiting for that moment to happen. I was waiting for these deals to close, and nothing was happening. Until I realized during Christmas season, until I realized that I fooled myself into this. Because I wasn't born to sell payroll solution. I was doing something that was not aligned with my essence and with who I am. So the doing was still far away from my being. So if every morning I wake up and I do my yoga, I do my meditation, and that does miracles for me, and then I go into corporate world and I play a character of a salesperson, that there is some disconnect between my being of who I am and what I'm doing in the world. And then I ask myself, so what if I just start living and being full-time and do only that resonates with my being? What would be the worst case? What would be the worst scenario if I start living my mission full-time, and if I quit my job? And I faced my fear, that fear of, or the voice that would say, oh, you're gonna lose the stable source of income. You're gonna lose the stable salary. What if you're gonna be struggling with finances and you won't be able to pay your bills? And finally, there is another voice now within me that said, the response was, well, the worst case scenario would be you selling your apartment, selling your Porsche, pack your stuff, and move back to the village in Ukraine where you grew up. You will bring some cash with you because you're gonna sell your place, right? You have some equity there. So you will build a nice home in the village where you grew up. You would put nice hammocks there, like it's gonna be all in nature. You're gonna wake up, do your yoga, meditation, exactly what you're doing here now. And you're gonna explore existential dimension within yourself. That's exactly what you're doing now. And you're gonna talk for a podcast with Lily, maybe virtually. So that's exactly what you're doing now.
Oh, Lily will quit everything and move to the village.
And I was like, man, like it doesn't even sound that bad. It's not even death. And I was like, well, that's exactly that. That's how you fight your fears. You just become okay with the worst case. And I was so okay with the worst case scenario that instantly I decided to quit my job. And it had nothing to do with my job. People were amazing. The company was amazing. It was good money. The money that was paying for my lifestyle. But the soul was asking for a different experience. And I wanted to live my mission full time. And I no longer wanted to feel like I'm a belly dancer who comes to do plumbing job. Nothing wrong with the plumbing job, but I wasn't born for that. I was born to dance with the divine. And finally, I had courage to do that. Now the next challenge was to deliver this message to my family. And when I told that to my sister, of course, the first response was like, I'm crazy, why are you doing this? You have a beautiful life. I said, yes, I do have a beautiful life. And I love my life the way my life is right now. I'm not escaping it. The thing is, I reached the point where the energy that I'm embodying no longer fits into existing identity. Like the energy of that, the love for life and trust that everything will revolve around my core desire of helping people to achieve their full potential. Like that's my mission, and I'm very much committed to that. And unfortunately, in an identity of a district manager in sales job, it was a very limited capacity for me to do my mission. And I just realized that if not now, then when?
There's never a perfect time.
Because your mind will always find the reason why it's not the right time. And the thing is, our human mind is so programmed for survival that it will find a number of reasons why it's dangerous to do it, why it's a bad idea, why you shouldn't do it, because it's something new. The thing is that I've done so much inner work on myself that I trained my mind now to be excited about new stuff, about unknown, instead of being fearful of it.
And try to control everything.
Exactly. Actually, I don't even want to control. All I control is how I feel at this present moment. And I know all the instruments to control that state of being in present moment are within myself. It's just my perception of people around me, of this situation, and I learned to create a beautiful, enjoyable narrative in my head. So now that I learned to control my state of being in a present moment, and then I actually train my body to vibrate in that frequency of love for life and excitement and curiosity. Now I'm not even worried what exactly will happen. I just know it's going to be something better than my mind can ever imagine. That's why I don't let my mind to set limitation of how this should unfold. And I think true freedom comes when you are no longer scared of the unknown. You become curious and excited to see what unknown has to offer. And the job that we all have to do is actually understanding that we build our own limitations. And there will be time when the dimension that wants freedom will be pushing those limitations to break. The question is, will you fight for those limitations to stay, or will you take a call and jump into the unknown and create a new version of yourself? In my case, the version of myself that I'm creating, the new identity that I'm creating, is a yogi wearing Prada. And it has nothing to do with Prada. I'm not promoting that brand. I'm not working for them, by the way. I'm a yogi that chooses to wear Prada. So if you take away my Prada, I still stay as a yogi, which means that I am in union with the existence, which means that there is no resistance to the way things are. Whether Prada stays or I have to sell it, the state of being stays the same, because I am not resistant to what it is. And the narrative that I will have in my head is that everything is in my favor. Because up until this moment, in the last 3 years, the reality has proven to me that everything revolves around my intention. So if my intention is to help people transform and find this freedom that I was able to find within myself, I know that everything that will be happening in this material world will be supporting that intention. And if at some point I do have to sell my apartment and I have to sell my Porsche, then it means it's supporting my intention to help people evolve. I'll take that. Because the true love and joy that I receive personally is to see how my coaching and how my words are helping people transcend their limitations. So that's the source of my joy, and if there will be a big enough crowd of people who will resonate with this message and are ready to transcend their limitations, I know that they will have desire to give back and to reward for the impact that I will have on their lives. But if my message won't resonate with people, I will be okay with doing my yoga and meditation and exploring myself further in my home village in Ukraine. Again, this is not a projection I have for my future. My projection is that I will have way more than my mind can ever imagine. But if that were to happen, I'll be totally fine with it, because Prada is not a source of my joy. It's an outcome of my joy, and I choose to have it. At some point, I might stop choosing it.
Can you share that very interesting example of how you hopped on the bus to Seattle when it just happened yesterday, when Mira was coming from Vancouver and when she was very late for the bus, but when she had this intention and desire to be here, like the universe shifted to make it happen. So can you share, because it's very simple, like example, and it's also is shown happens in other spheres, right?
Of course.
But just how you attract circumstances that are good for you.
Mm-hmm. That revolve around my intention, right? It was a very simple situation, but very profound, I think. So my bus was at 6 p.m. last night, and I was supposed to arrive at a bus station at 6 p.m., catch my bus and come here. And we were planning to record the episode for the podcast and, of course, bond and connect before my spiritual trip. And so I left in advance. My sister was, I was driving there, my sister was sitting, and my sister on the way back was supposed to take my car and drive home. So in normal days, in normal time, usually it would take 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes to get there. So I was thinking, well, this is peak time, this is busy time, traffic is busy. So I will leave, in advance and give myself more time. So I left 40 minutes before departure. And we started driving, and GPS started showing that there is traffic on the bridge. I was driving from North Vancouver, and people who live in Vancouver, they know that the bridge during those time in the day at around 5, 6 p.m., it's actually getting really busy on the road. So, and it was busy as an even normal busy days. So it was traffic. And the GPS started showing that we would arrive at the bus station at 6:05. And so the logic of the mind, by looking at GPS and seeing that we are literally not moving, that it's very slow, the logic would be to rebook, to change on Flixbus. It's actually a very easy process to reschedule, but there is a fee. So it was $30 to move my ticket for tomorrow, for next day at 7:20 a.m. And I could 10 minutes before departure, I could change my ticket. So the logic was showing that I should change my ticket, because not only that I will, if I don't change it, then I will be late for the bus. Plus, I will lose the money I spent on this ticket. And plus, I'll have to book a new ticket, completely new ticket. So the loss was around $80. And then another option was, so the option was to rebook and avoid full loss of $80 and pay extra $27 to rebook it, and then go tomorrow, next day. That was the second option. So first option is to keep driving, keep driving and just being open to what the universe has to offer, and see if we catch a bus. And then there is a risk to lose $80 there with that one. Another option was to move it to tomorrow, and the loss would be $30, the rebooking fee. And then I asked myself, so right now, what would abundance do? Like abundance where it's no longer a point of losing $80. It's just like, if I know that everything in life revolves around my intention to help people evolve, then I will always have enough money for my mission. Like I no longer put balances and credits, accounts payable, accounts receivable. I just know I will have enough resources to perform my mission, which is my being, right? So what would abundance do? Abundance would relax and crack a joke around how actually it is still possible to catch that bus. So I started joking with my sister and say, Marina, what do you think? Do you think we can still make it? She's like, well, looking at GPS and seeing the traffic, my mind is saying no. But because I want you to go tonight, and that's what you want, well, my bet will be yes. And because you are a weirdo a bit, so you just know some things. Okay, I'll say yes. Like, bingo, well, thank you for supporting me. I honestly don't even care if I make it tonight or not. I am okay with losing $80. I am okay with going in tomorrow. I am okay with the worst case scenario. So basically, I started thinking all these scenarios, how the bus can actually be delayed, like what can happen, for the bus to be delayed, instead of thinking that, oh my God, I'm gonna miss this bus.
So you started thinking thoughts that align with your
desired outcome. Exactly. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, I can't really change the fact that GPS is showing we are 5-10 minutes late now. What I can do, though, is that I can change the stream of my consciousness, which means I will change the state of my being, and I will, list the things that could happen that would help me to still make it, a bus driver going to the washroom, or something is broken in the bus and it's taking them longer to fix. Like, what can happen so that the departure is delayed? And I started thinking those things and sharing with my sister. And we're driving, classic music is Chopin is playing, and it's like spring waltz is playing, relaxing mode. My nephew is sleeping in the back, and we're just cracking jokes with my sister. We're driving that way. And when we are close to the bus station, it was already 6 p.m. The GPS is showing we have 5 minutes more to go. And I am taking the wrong turn. And I'm like, man, like I think I will miss it. So the universe probably forgot about me. What's happening here? This is weird, because the GPS told me to turn into the street that was actually like there was no way out. It was like no go through. So I had to go make a circle, come back, and keep driving further to take another turn. And now my thought was like, okay, it's still like something weird is happening. It was weird that I took that turn. So maybe I still can make it to the bus.
So you still believed you can?
After thinking that I won't be able to, then I started questioning my mind. I was like, well, I don't know. Let's see. It's still not, I haven't seen the outcome yet. We'll see. If I miss it, I miss it. That's okay. And I kept driving. And here I am, just not even knowing where's this bus station, because I've never taken that route. I've never, like, I don't even know what, if GPS is taking me to on the right road. Like, I am driving this way, and then here there is a street, and there is a light. There is a light for the traffic to basically cross this street and turn left. For the traffic on this perpendicular street, it was left turn. For me, it was straight. And I am driving. For me, it's green light, of course. For the traffic here, it's red light. And I see right on this red light, this bus, Greyhound bus. I am stopping my car, pulling over, alarm, like the flashlights are on. I say to my sister, can you get off and just run to that bus and ask the driver to wait for me? This is my bus. My sister, right away, there was no like, no hesitation, nothing. Like she didn't even, like, some people would say, no, I think this is stupid. Maybe it's not your bus. I'm not gonna go. No. Right away, she got out, ran to the bus, knocked at the door. It's red light. The bus is standing on the red light. Knock at the door and say, are you going to Seattle? My sister has the ticket. She just needs 1 second. And she waves at me. I take my backpack and just run to the bus. My car is flashing on the turn. You know, it's a red light for the bus. Just in a matter of 1 second, I got on the bus. But if I didn't go through that, if I didn't turn to that wrong street initially, most likely I wouldn't even catch the bus, because it had to happen at that particular moment where it was red light, the bus was there, and we were driving when it was green light for us, for me to stop and get to the bus.
Yeah, that's amazing how it's like such a coincidence. It's not a coincidence, right?
We manifested it with my sister, actually, I think, because it was a dance. Like, she needed to get out at a proper time, get off the car. I needed to pull over at the proper time. She would need to go to the driver, tell him to wait until I take my backpack. So it was like a dance with my sister around my desire to get on the bus, and it happened so effortlessly. It was fun for me. And my sister's like, whew. After I got into the car, I actually needed 2-3 minutes to just sit calm, because for me it was stressful. And I loved it because the universe was bending space and time around my desire. So I caught my bus, not at the time where the schedule was, and not at the place. Yeah. So the universe bended space-time for me to get me aligned with my desire, to fulfill my desire. So that's why I just know that everything will revolve around my intention. So I don't care whether it's gonna be me wearing Prada or not, me driving my Porsche or not, me living in Vancouver or not, but everything will revolve around my intention to help people live their mission, live their truth, transcend their existing limitations, and become free of their minds, heal themselves, heal their pain, and really experience true love for life. That's exactly what I'm experiencing right now. The amount of freedom I feel within myself, words can't describe. The amount of love I have for life, words can't describe. Because situations with the bus, like I had yesterday, before my awakening, I couldn't see the beauty. I couldn't see this love from invisible source, you know, the connections that I have with the energy that created worlds. That's the source of my eternal love for life, and that's the source of my freedom. So that's why human mind right now is my tool to play the thoughts, to play the movies that I enjoy in my head. Even when external circumstances at this moment are telling me that this is not possible, my mind now knows how to create million explanations why it is.
Beautiful. Yeah, and powerful. And this reminded me of the situations when in the moment you think that's a negative one scenario, but then after some time, as you analyze whom you met because of that, or where did it take you because of that bad circumstance, you understand that it was actually in your favor.
Absolutely. Like the turn that I took, which in my mind at that time was perceived as a detour, was the turn that allowed me to catch the bus. Because it's a matter of seconds. Like, you know, the green light, it's a matter of, you know, seconds. So I needed to be at that second, at that particular time, at that particular spot for me to catch the bus on a red light.
Yeah. I remember the situation when I missed a plane, and it was in the US, and we were in Las Vegas, went to see the Grand Canyon just before the plane because like we're here, we have to see it, and there were two options of going there. First, like a small trip, a short one, but it was the other side of the canyon, which was more beautiful. And I thought, well, if I'm here, I should see the best part.
Right.
And it was quite risky because it was just in time to go for the plane. And we were taking a bus there to the canyon. So on our way back, I understand that we are going to be late because like people took more time on stops than they should have and everything like that, and we even couldn't take an Uber from that because it was like in the middle of nowhere. So we talked to the bus driver who had to change the drivers, and the driver who was going to have rest. His car was, we stopped on a gas station, his car was there, and we asked him to drive us to the airport because there were no taxis there, nothing. And he agreed, he even did that for free because I was like asking every 10 minutes before then if we were on time. And then when we came to the airport, we still were late for the flight, but it turned out that the flight was delayed, and we had enough time. Oh no! It was no. We missed the plane, but it was delayed, and they didn't charge us for changing the tickets as if it was just our missing it. Then or the flight. Well, I don't remember the situation very precisely, but thing is that we still could change it. It took us longer, but it also was like everything made out that way with this bus driver who took us to the airport, and the situation at the airport, it was also in our favor. And like also you never know if you take this plane that maybe you shouldn't have taken it because it would crash or something like that.
Exactly.
I believe in that as well. So yeah.
See, like you can think that the plane might crash or whatever, but you could also think, no, actually I needed to be on a different plane, even if it was just me having that thought that I had on the plane, like an enlightening thought, because maybe you wouldn't be able to have that thought on a different plane. Maybe you would be sitting next to a passenger who would be distracting you, right? So for me, it just gets to those tiny details even. Even a thought that I have on the plane, if it's a profound thought, I'm already grateful that I am exactly on this plane.
That also reminded me of a situation, how we came with the idea of this podcast, because I was having some trouble in dating, and I called Mira to talk about that. It was something like it didn't go the way I would want it to go, and we were talking for about 2 hours about the situation, and then finally,
I remember that, yeah.
I told like this, you should tell this to the world, and Mira said, yeah, I want to, let's do that. And if not, if that dating thing went right for me, then there wouldn't be.
Then it would be wrong. From present perspective, if dating thing at that time would go right the way you wanted it, then it would be wrong according to your present state of being and where you are, and us doing this.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you would be kept in the same loop of perceiving men in the same way, right? And the same perception would just repeat the same experiences for you. So I think at some point you would still get here. But maybe it would just take longer time, right? But the way things are and the way situations are unfolding, it's the best possible way. It's just, the question is, are you able to see that? Are you able to perceive it that way and start seeing the mechanics of how it happens? Because I had similar situation with the plane, by the way, as well. When from Seattle, the first time when I came, I think when I took my flight from Seattle to Frankfurt at that time, we went for a hike or for a walk. And I remember I took a train from here to the airport. And for some reason, I was so beyond space-time that I didn't realize that the plane is leaving in 2 hours and I still have an hour and a half to get to
the airport.
Yeah, we had 30 minutes to get to the train station, and then the train takes an hour, almost an hour to get to the airport. You remember, right?
Yeah, I had to drive, but there was traffic or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And I realized that I will arrive to the airport 30 minutes before the plane departs. And then, but I still decided to go. And on the train for the whole hour, I was working with my mind. And I was like, well, I didn't receive an email that the plane is delayed. So probably the plane is on time. And moreover, Condor Airlines didn't let me to check in online at that time. Like I didn't even have a boarding pass. So my mind started freaking out. I was like, yeah, you arrived 30 minutes prior to an international flight departure. They won't be able to even print you a boarding pass. Like it's just not logical if they do, right? Yeah. Because usually an hour prior, so usually it's an hour before departure, they stop giving the boarding passes. So, and I'm like, well, that's what usually happens. But Mira, you're embodying a different energy right now. How about if you just create the reasons why it's still possible? And I started thinking, well, maybe the plane is being delayed, but they just didn't send an email. And I was like, this is possible. This is very possible. Or maybe the email is in my spam messages. So I went check the spam. It's not there. I was like, well, maybe I just missed it. I couldn't see it in the spam. I don't know. I started thinking, the thoughts that are supporting my desired outcome. So what happens? I arrive like 40 minutes before departure. I go into the checking, like those stations where they give and print boarding passes, and they tell me, well, unfortunately, we closed the registration, and we can't print you the boarding pass. What you can do, though, there is a slim chance, but you can go to security where they scan the bags and you enter to the gate. You can ask them to print it there, because our system is closed. It doesn't let us do that. I was like, well, I've never had this situation that security prints the boarding pass for me, but I'm gonna try because they told me this is possible. I run with the backpack. It was heavy at that time. It was such a good workout for me. I probably, with that backpack, I did maybe 20 or 30 minute run from the train station to the, I ran to the gate and everything. So yes, the security printed my boarding pass. I'm like, yes, it's moving. The universe is supporting me to make it on time, to make the plane. And I went through security. I checked the gate. Then I realized that I actually had to take a train within the airport to get to that gate. I'm like, this is getting crazy. The first sign was they printed the boarding pass. Now my logic is that I won't be able to make it because now it will take me additional 4 minutes, 3 minutes to wait for the train, additional couple minutes to get to those gates, and then again run from the train to the gate itself. I was like, it's very, very tight. But I run like crazy. I run to the gate, and then right in that moment, they announce that the plane is delayed. Right at that moment, when I get to the gate, they say that it's an hour and a half delayed.
Why? Why did they announce
something came up?
That's late.
They explain it as a crew issue or something like that, but something out of the norm, because usually
Mira is just so we have to.
I almost felt like, well, we are waiting for Mira, that's why we have to delay this.
Sorry, 200 other passengers.
So as soon as I approach the gate, they announce that the flight is an hour and a half delayed. And I just started laughing because I play with this, energies that created world. Everything revolves around my desire to actually make it to Frankfurt, because I wanted to see my sister, and my middle sister was there as well. It was a family get together. And my intention was to make it on time because we already had a plan as a family. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world if I missed my flight, but I would lose $600 that I paid for that flight, and plus I would lose the experience of hanging out with my family. And I was okay with it. I was like, well, it's not even death. I'm not gonna die. I mean, I'll buy a new flight, whatever. If I am an abundance consciousness, I shouldn't be concerned about losing $800 or $600 for this flight that I paid. So I started actually doing inner work and asked myself, what would abundance do? Abundance would be okay with losing $600. And the person who really lives the free life and out of the box life should be okay with, catching another flight if you miss it, because you just go in the flow of life. So first and foremost, I removed resistance within myself to what it is, to the fact that I will arrive to the airport 30 minutes before departure. I had to remove resistance, that it was okay for me to arrive at that time. And then things unfolded. I started seeing this flow. I was running and they announced, that the flight is delayed. I was like, yes, it's working. I should keep working on this, removing resistance. And situations like that, little by little, if you train doing that every day, my sister calls it stressful, but I live life on the edge. I just love seeing how the universe bends space and time for me. Because I dwell beyond space-time. I dwell in the world where a feeling is the secret. My feeling, my vibration, my frequency. For me, this is the only reality.
Yeah. And it's so adventurous when you're like this last minute and you hop on it. I remembered how in my childhood we, with my parents, went on a trip to the mountains and we had to take a train. And we went there by underground. And it was Christmas season, and there is a tradition in Ukraine to sing on Christmas. And there was this band came in our wagon and started singing, and we all were like, oh, it's so nice, and we just missed our stuff hearing them singing. And it was like, and my family is really bad with time, like myself, like we do everything last minute, and that
sounds like my family. My dad is like that.
And that stop was like the biggest distance between the stops, so we had to go to another stop and then go back, and it took like 15 minutes maybe. And then we go on this train station, railway, and our train is already starting leaving. But in Ukraine, each wagon has
each compartment,
and like a flight, like an attendant.
Yes.
A person who lets you in the train, so the doors are not automatic. And we see that all doors are closing, but the one of them still has this woman who is closing the door like herself, and we're like, wait for us. And I remember how my dad like first put in all the luggage, like we had a lot of luggage like on a train that is already moving, and then puts me in and then my mom in, and then he runs and like jumps inside, and it was like another compartment. We had to walk through the whole train to get to our seats. But this is one of the memories that I have from my childhood, which really give me this joy.
Yes.
So this moment,
yes, exactly.
It was kind of stressful for everyone, but also we were so relieved when we got in the train, and it was so much fun. So like if we were just on time, I wouldn't even remember that.
Yeah. Life is built with moments like this, and these moments are the most memorable. And I think that feeling that, wow, I still made it. It seemed impossible, and I made it. How, like, what did I do within me that I made it happen? And I start seeing how it actually works. And if I were to miss that bus, then it was meant, like, it was still in my favor. Like, I just know that everything that happens is in my favor.
Wouldn't you think that then you wouldn't need to go on the trip? Maybe that's a sign not to go.
I would probably think that, my intention, even at that time, I was like, if we talk about the plane to Frankfurt, it was already after my awakening. So I would be easily accepting. Like, I would say, well, it was just probably, I'm supposed to be on a different flight where I would meet someone who would have an impact on who I am and on my journey. That's why, like, I know that everything happens for a reason. It's just my mind at this particular moment doesn't know the reason. Like, for example, my mind didn't know why I took that wrong turn for a detour. At that particular moment, my mind was thinking it's taking me further away from fulfilling my desire, right? The logic of my mind. But I know that behind the scenes, something's working in my favor. Now, like, I'm so connected to that intuition that I don't dwell in the thought of like regret that I didn't, catch that plane or didn't catch that bus. I would know that there is a reason for why that happened exactly that way.
Mm-hmm. And I also remember how you are always telling that if you have like a bad thought of a negative outcome, you should think of another thought which will make this outcome
Balance it.
Balance it. And at least to have like 50-50 if it's good or bad.
Exactly. Because if you keep thinking the thoughts that are not aligned with your desired outcomes, then it will be a struggle for you to achieve what you want in life. Like, you need to learn to see the mechanics of how reality happens and how every thought that you have determines the choices that you make in life, whether going there or not going. If you keep thinking unpleasant thoughts that are not supporting your outcome, it will be exhausting your inner resources to live a beautiful life, which all of us want. All of us want to live a beautiful life. All of us want to achieve our desires, fulfill desires, and achieve our goals. All of us want that. Then learn how this all happens. Because if you keep thinking the thoughts that are against your goals, this is not helping. This is actually delaying. You're not letting the invisible forces deliver that goal to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, but now let's watch on the clock, because I do have a plane to catch.
Hopefully it won't be another story.
Yes.
To tell.
I think this is beautiful because it's so natural and authentic. I do have a plane to catch to London from Seattle at 4:15 p.m. and it's 1:12. So I think it's about time to wrap it up. I think it was an amazing podcast and a great conversation that's showing that, there is a way to bend space-time if feeling becomes your only reality. And feeling is my reality. The feeling of love. I know that in my life, I will experience the highest frequency of love possible for a human vessel to experience.
Yes. And I'm so excited about your trip, about your realizations there, about the things you're going to do there, people that you will meet and share what you're
planes
doing.
I'll miss, planes I'll catch, moments I'll be rushing, because I'll be traveling to a lot of countries and I'll be taking a lot of planes and I'll be meeting a lot of people and there will be a lot of synchronicities and a lot of adventures. And that's why this trip will be spiritual, because I will be dancing with that energy that created worlds.
Yeah. Yes, and probably our next podcast will be either from you from a different part of the world online.
Virtually, we can do it, yeah.
Yeah, or together, maybe together in some other part of the world.
Absolutely.
Or here, after all of that, your experience, and you will share it. So stay tuned, subscribe to our channel to see how it all unfolds, and also follow us on other social platforms. We would be glad to meet you there as well. And come to our retreat in Sardinia in May. Yeah, I hope I will be also be able to join together, though I'm still waiting for my travel document, which is not ready yet. And I don't know who will be with my kids at that time, but I'm also trusting the universe to
release the
make
control.
It all happen.
You just have intention and let the universe play it out for you. Be excited instead of being fearful that it might not happen. Just let things play out by itself. Really.
Right. Okay, see you guys soon. Have a great trip.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Much love. Mwah.